certain color combinations, it's one of the major incentives to play Mardu and Naya as well. His opponent, Alex Reed, is playing Temur mid-range. I guess you could say this is somewhat derivative of Kibler's work, but this is a little bit more mana-intensive, I would say, going up to a much higher top end with things like Keranos and Xenagos God of Rebels. Also 2 copies of Dig Through Time.
Oh, so this is a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh, and 2 copies of Temur Ascendancy. Never mind. We're kind of off doing our own thing here.
Well, his own thing worked round number 1. He's off to a nice start here in round number 2. And Elvish missed to get things started off here for Alex Reed. That is a Wooded Foothills. This looks to be an attack for 1, so Man's going to go down to 19. I do remember very well the last time we were here for the Open Series. It was over my birthday weekend in March. Stephen Mann did win our Legacy Open. We'll see if he can win the Standard one.
Very, very talented player.
Absolutely.
Successful at all levels of play. Thoughtful, methodical, very successful Magic player.
Wooded Foothills is the play here for Mann before passing the turn back. Has had a lot of success on Magic Online, and now translating it into real life.
The old S-Man.
That's right. Reed going to sacrifice his Wooded Foothills. He's down to 19.
I don't think he and I have ever battled on Magic Online. I've never run into the S-Man.
Back in my heavy grinding days of Magic Online, which were me setting an alarm clock and treating it like an actual 9 to 5, which those were dark days where I would set an alarm for 9 and actually put coffee on and play for 8 hours a day. I ran into him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an upkeep. It looks like we're going to possibly see a lightning strike here on the upkeep.
And this is pretty good operations here from Steven. He wants to see what Alex is doing before deciding to lightning strike, and also allowing Alex to maybe fetch for a land he doesn't want to fetch for because he assumes that his Zealous Mystic is going to die. These are all little things. It's very rare for something like this to add up to a game win or loss in either direction. But if you do things like this over and over again, at some point it does matter. It does matter that you play like this.
There's a mountain, 3 mana. That's a morph creature. What's a morph check here?
Rattleclaw Mystic.
Okay.
Maybe also Sagu Mauler could be.
That's what I wanted to know.
No, there is no Sagu. Although this looks like a deck that would potentially play it.
Yep. I mean, to be fair, this could also be if Man assumes that he's playing against a green-red monsters deck, you would think Ashcloud Phoenix.
Yep.
So it's not clear exactly what that morph is as it normally is.
And I think this is a credit to R&D. When Morph first came around, there weren't really that many viable morphs in Constructed. It was basically Exalted Angel and a couple other ones. They did a much better job this time of making, there's 3 or 4 reasonable ones that this color combination could produce right now. And you get some of the morph game that was really absent last time this mechanic was in Constructed.
Man, going to play a copy of Courser Crufix. Top card is Sarkin, the Dragon Speaker. As Reed is going to play a Temple of Abandon. Top card going to go to the bottom. Probably caught a glimpse of Reed's hand. Doesn't have any blue cards yet in his Temur deck, but also doesn't have to worry about it because he doesn't have any blue cards in his hand. No, he does have a little bit of blue mana now. Rattleclaw Mystic is going to flip up. A little bit of mana here. Looks like we're going to see a Xenagos as that's the last spell in his hand. The other 2 cards are just lands. So flooding a little bit here, but the Planeswalker is going to try to do some work.
Yeah, Alex got a pretty mana-heavy hand and has not drawn out of it just yet. But if this Rattleclaw Mystic is able to survive, he's got a lot of high-impact spells he can draw. He's got 2 copies of Dragon Claw, a Keranos that we mentioned before.
Some Satyr token beatdowns here. But it's going to get to eat something.
It seems like a very aggressive line to play.
A touch.
Particularly when Alex has a lot of blue cards in his deck to draw, and not a lot of... He has no blue mana in play now. So not only is that just an aggressive attack on the surface of it, but it means that a lot of Alex's draws are no longer viable.
I'm sure that Man was briefly thinking about Gather Courage, since we saw that last weekend from Aaron Barrage in his Obs on Aggro deck, but there were no green creatures untapped, so no free Convokes on the Gather Courage, which means blocking was safe, and he took the opportunity to eat a Rattleclaw Mystic. Man puts a Wooded Foothills into play off the Courser, triggers that, gains a little bit of life, and he does have some options here. As you can see his hand, 2 copies of Ashcloud Phoenix, among other things that he can do.
I love that Gather Courage is in decks.
I adore it.
You do not have to convince me very hard to put 0 mana cards in Constructed decks.
Yeah, I guess it's not too tough. Not too tough at all. There's a mountain.
Why is this powerful? I don't know, because that's how Magic works. When you do good things for no mana.
Top card down for Mann from the Courser. We'll have to take a look. Chain of the Rocks. Ah, yes.
Oh, Steven.
A very nice display. Well, he does have a mountain at least. There is that.
He's got step 2, not step 1.
Sure.
He's got step 2.
Sure. See if it's going to be Pelucranos or Ash Cloud Phoenix now, as he has options to play both. I think he's just deciding which one is best on this particular board. Changes his mind a touch. He'll go with the flyer. He's going to pass the turn back. Reed will untap. Again, he's got 2 lands in his hand. He needs some action. Draws a card. It's another land. You see it, Wooded Foothills, a mountain, and now a Temple of Abandon. So probably play the Scry land here, but we'll see. Yep. Take a look at the top card. Don't get a great look at it. I think it may have been a Kiora.
And this is part of the problem with the attack that Alex made last turn is Kiora would not be a shabby draw here if he could build up a board with Zendegos and start plussing the Kiora on the Phoenix that just got played, but now he has no blue mana, so it's a non-starter.
Top card's going to the bottom here for Reed. Yeah, he's in some real trouble now. Zendegos is going to make another Satyr token. He's going to attack with both, knowing that his Zendegos is going to die no matter what now.
Yeah, I don't mind this attack.
Yeah. And if Ash Cloud Phoenix wants to get a little frisky, by all means. Mana will untap. Draw the chain. Take a look at the top card. Ah, yes. We are doing it.
I mean, I think Steven's got an enormous edge in this game, so it probably doesn't matter, but these are some humorous reveals.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. Somebody stretching the old mana base, huh?
Yeah. You got a Phyrexian Obliterator over there?
All he's got to do is peel off his Urborg.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to go. Well, shrug the shoulders, red zone. See where the blocks go. Oh, later then it goes. I have to imagine Ash Cloud Phoenix just coming in the air. No resistance over there. There's Pelucranos to go with the ground. Pass the turn back. Yeah, Ash Cloud Phoenix did go straight to Reed.
Yeah, I think Steven is correctly sensing here that Alex just doesn't have anything going on.
Yeah. And there isn't a card, you have to worry about like Mizzy Mortars in this format, or a Bonfire of the Damned coming rolling off the top. There's just nothing. And you want to talk about humorous draws. I don't know if you caught Alex's draw for the turn. It's a copy of Dig Through Time.
Nice.
Both players are really just letting it rip early this morning with their draw steps.
Firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what Mann reveals next.
Yeah. Erosion.
Sure, why not?
Necropotence.
Well, we'd have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
There's Wooded Foothills. That's land number 6. And Mann can confidently untap here, draw his Elspeth he can't cast. Top card, Courser. Okay.
So, again, I do not think it's going to matter too much this game, but Steven's hand is about as bad as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
I think it's another Pelucranos, a bunch of double white spells.
Yeah, he's got a Chain of the Rocks, an Elspeth, and a Wingmate Rock in hand. And he doesn't even need to cast those because he's got enough castable spells, the second Ash Cloud Phoenix, to be able to get the job done. Gonna sacrifice Wooded Foothills, will Reed. Get a land out of the old deck, go down to 10. But that one can't search for blue mana, so he'll have to get a forest.
There really aren't that many blue sources in Alex's deck. If I had to make a critique here, given how many blue cards he has, and the fact that he has Dig Through Time, which is double blue, it's a little light. It's 2 Temple of Mystery, 3 Island, 3 Frontier Bivouac, and that's it, on top of Caryatid and Rattleclaw.
Rattleclaw, sure.
It's a little light for a lot of blue spells.
Draw step. Genesis Hydra.
Ooh, exciting.
A lot of mana, too. If you can find a way to maybe stop the air beats, there's a land.
I'm looking to see if there's anything that can do that. So he gets to do this for 5. Well, he gets a Storm Breath, but that's not really that helpful here. Kiora is not shabby, but
Seen better.
again, yeah, not too helpful.
And the tough thing here, the Stormbreath Dragon was the last card, so that's,
Not
relatively
bad.
helpful.
It's his best hit, probably.
The big deal here, I think, because I don't think I'd be surprised if Reed goes on to win this game. The big deal now is that he's given away some information about, I'm a teamer deck, I'm not a green-red deck.
Yeah.
Because we saw Savage Knuckleblade and Frontier Bivouac in that whole thing.
I'm not sure if that really will inform too much of what Steven does in the sideboard. Because, the cards that Alex is playing it sort of just looks like a green-red monsters list with Knuckleblade.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple other random blue cards.
It's nice, now, for example, that he knows a card like Stubborn Denial could be on the radar,
Right.
where he wouldn't otherwise. So just a little something to keep in mind. Information is a big deal, so he gets to pick up a little bit of it there. Man, got to untap here and take a draw. Courser is what he'll draw, of course. Take a look at the top card now. Copy of Temple of Plenty. We are working our way there.
All right.
Look at him go. See if he does want to play the Temple this turn or not, giving this turn a little bit of thought. He's definitely in a good position, but doesn't want to give it away.
Yeah, it's important not to get too fast or too sloppy in spots like this.
He does have a copy of Sarkin in his hand right now. We saw that from an earlier reveal. And man, trying to figure out the best way to attack this board.
I'm surprised that the first order of business for Steven here is not playing the Temple.
Makes for a pretty good start, I would think.
Just gives him a little more information to work with. Now, it gives some information to Alex, too, about how he wants to block, but I think Alex's hand is pretty forced in how he has to block here. I think he has to block the Ashcloud Phoenix and either chumps or trades with the Pelucranos.
Oh, there are your attacks. Man, playing a little more conservative here, too, with his attack. He could definitely get a little more aggressive, but at the same time, he just doesn't know what's in the opponent's deck.
Exactly.
So it's understandable why he would take a more conservative approach of, I'll leave back a copy of Ashcloud Phoenix just in case anything goes wrong. There's a Temple. Trigger the Scry and trigger a life gain.
He has to respect the possibility of Crater's Claws, too.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of damage. So even though it looks pretty safe for him right now, there is a card in the format that can do a ton of damage.
Yep, I 100% agree. Doesn't want to just lose a game out of nowhere. You don't know if something like a main deck Harnessed by Force is coming. You have no clue. I mean, I don't know if he could do a lot about that, but again, you just don't really know what's coming from your opponent's deck because you just haven't seen very much. So if you can play in such a way that you can, play a little more conservative and play around everything, I think you do. Karanos the draw along with the dig through time in hand, so Reed's draw steps aren't cooperating, to say the least.
Correct. And I think at this point he's not going to be able to block next turn.
Yeah.
If Steven goes ahead and pulls the trigger with attacking with everything, which no guarantee because he's shown that he respects the possibility of Alex having tricks.
Yeah, especially when we know that there's a Sarkin over there in Mann's hand. He can Chain of the Rocks a Satyr token. Of course, can't take down the Stormbreath Dragon due to protection from white, but it won't come down to any of that. As a concession here from Alex Reed, will give Stephen Mann game number 1. Naya mid-range up a game here over Teamer mid-range as we will head to the sideboards. We will start with Alex Reed's, which you have in front of you.
2 copies of Stubborn Denial, 3 Disdainful Strokes, 3 copies of Destructive Revelry, 3 Anger of the Gods, 3 Teamer Charms, and a Chandra Pyromaster. I like the copies of Disdainful Stroke. Steven's got a lot of expensive quality threads, as you just saw. And other than that, I'm not a huge fan of what's going on here. I think the Teamer Charms are borderline when Alex is on the play, but I would prefer to leave them in the sideboard.
Other side of things, I'm looking at 4 copies of Xenagos the Reveler, 4 Anger of the Gods, an Elspeth, 2 Banishing Lights, 2 Glare of Heresy, a Nissa World Waker, and a Lightning Strike. So pretty straightforward stuff here from Mann. I think I like the additional Elspeth. I think Elspeth is just great in these sort of mid-rangey matchups. It's probably the trump that Teamer has a really difficult time in beating. Banishing Light seems okay, answers some things, doesn't take care of Stormbreath Dragon, however. And maybe an additional Lightning Strike. I'm not entirely sure that one's great here. Maybe Nissa World Waker, but some decent options.
I like the Nissa, the 2 copies of Banishing Light, and the Elspeth. I wouldn't go much past that.
I could see just cutting the Lightning Strikes maybe. Maybe the Suspension Field. That one doesn't seem great in this matchup, just seems okay. So some decent options available.
I think Suspension Field's pretty... I think that if Alex only showed the cards that he showed, that I would cut it, but given that Alex had blue mana and showed a Knuckleblade, I think I would leave in Suspension Field.
Well, game number 2 going to be underway here between Mann and Reed in just a moment. But if you guys have seen us, we've got some sweet new pins on, thanks to SCG Game Night every week here in December.
Look at how cute and hilarious that is. This is the token and pin that's available for December. Every month we come out with a new kit. This is the kit for December. And if you want to get signed up, you can head over to starcitygames.com/game night for more information. Initially, we launched this program as Wednesday only. We moved it to any night that the store wants to run it. Whatever format, sanctioned or unsanctioned, just get fun, friendly play in your store on a regular weekday or weekend. So head over to starcitygames.com for more information if you want to get signed up for the January kit.
It's a sweet program that we've got going on here in December. December's already underway, so if you will be signing up now, it will be for January, as Patrick did mention. But for all you players out there in stores that do have game night in December, it's a turtle party, crushing a castle, and I think those crabs as well.
Yes.
I wonder if crabs and turtles have like a thing. Do they
Well,
fight?
every single time that I've looked at a piece of art and said, I don't quite get what the joke is here, there's some sort of joke.
Sure.
So we'll get it told to us eventually.
I'm not entirely sure why you would fight a crab. They seem like pretty nice animals.
No, they're not actually.
Oh, well, I take that back. Never mind.
Have you ever gone crabbing?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
They are unpleasant.
Okay. It sounds like you have gone crabbing.
Yeah, they're unpleasant.
Well, I'd be unpleasant too if people are trying to bother me.
Right. No, I totally agree. It's not their fault. I'm just saying that they're not pleasant.
All right. Fair enough. Though I feel like they are an easy enemy to defeat.
Sort of. I mean, given your size as a human being, you have a pretty big edge.
Absolutely.
But you incur some costs along the way.
Well, you always do. You always do. I know I could beat a turtle in a fight.
Yeah, you just have to tip it over onto its back.
Easy game.
Yeah.
It's important to always have a strategy.
Yeah, Mother Nature just handles that one for you. You don't even have to try really hard.
Game number 2 here between Steve Mann and Alex Reed about to be underway. Steve Mann, number 12 on our Open Series leaderboard. He is the cutoff. If we started the Players' Championship today, he would be the last person in. He's got 130 Open Series points. He's looking to get some more here this weekend. This building here in Atlanta, he's had a lot of success with. Again, on March 2nd of this year, won the Legacy Open. We'll see if he can put together a great finish in a Standard Open here in Atlanta.
Curious to see if he and traveling mate Logan Myers are going to be in Portland next weekend as well.
Yep. The 2 Florida players. They say it can't be done. You have to live in the Midwest and the Northeast, but we've got 2 players in Florida who look like they're going to be headed to the Players' Championship. Joe Lissette, California area.
Jim Davis did most of his work in the IQs.
Yep. It can't be done. Kevin Jones as well.
Yep.
Just some of the names that look like they're going to be headed to Roanoke at the end of the year for the Players' Championship. It's going to be one heck of a tournament from Roanoke next month. It's going to be here before we know it, too.
This has been the fastest year of my life, I feel like.
In both a good and bad way. That's how I feel. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, but I can't believe it's basically over already.
Right.
Alex going to take a mulligan very, very quickly. Looks like Mann's going to keep. I remember being here in March and messing up my ankle and not being able to do the broadcast on the second day.
I remember that too.
Yeah. It doesn't even seem like it was that long ago.
Big shout out to Todd Anderson, who came.
No, I'm not shouting him out. I'm not shouting him out. He should be here.
Well,
Not shouting him out.
if he wasn't there, then it would have just been me by myself. And then
Well,
I would have.
I mean, I'm saying he should be here this weekend. He took the weekend off. He didn't travel. Andrew Shroud even traveled. Andrew Shroud's walking around right now.
Iron Bowl.
Yeah. You know what? I hope Alabama loses. I said it. I meant it, too. Al's going to take a look at his opening hand. I think this is a blue mana issue again.
Like I said, he just doesn't have that much blue mana in the deck. If there's a structural issue with the way that Alex has constructed the deck, it's definitely that.
Yeah, he's going to send it back.
That hand to me seemed keepable.
I think you have to take the risk. Like, you've got 2 really good cards. You've got 2 Knuckle Blades. I think there's a Disdainful Stroke there as well. And you've got 2 lands. I think you just have to maybe cross your fingers and hope for the best.
One of them is a Scryland.
Yeah. No guarantee, but I don't know if he thinks you're going to get better on 5 cards. And your opponent's already got 7, so
Yeah.
it's risque.
It's a dangerous keep, but I think I like keeping 6-card hands that have huge upside. And if Alex finds blue mana quickly, that hand's excellent.
mean, this can play.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it can play. Going to start with the Frontier Bivouac and pass the turn back over to Mann. Mann will draw. Pick up a copy of Banishing Light. That'll turn on the Destructive Revelry over there in Reed's hand. Temple of Abandon is where Stephen will start. Top card. Let's see where it's headed. Gonna give it some thought, as he always does. Very methodical player is Mann. Sometimes to his detriment. Pass the turn back. Another copy of Destructive Revelry.
Well, he's got to hope that Steven cooperates now.
Yeah, play a Courser. Please. Mountain. Sylvan Carry added. Pass the turn back. Reed will draw a forest. That's land number 3.
And this is not a bad spot for Alex, given that he's on 5 cards. You know, he has the ability to blow up some of Steven's enchantments. If Steven plays a Courser, he's got a Revelry ready. If he plays a 4-mana spell, he can just Disdainful Stroke it as appropriate. He keeps taking his land drops and gets Stormbreath Dragon, which is pretty challenging for Steven's deck to answer. So for a 5-card hand, this is not going that badly for Alex.
I have definitely seen worse. That's for sure. See what land number 3 is going to be here for Mann. He's got a fetch land and Mana Confluence, so he's got some options. He'll play Mana Confluence. That's a Pelucranos. I have a feeling that's going to get countered. Absolutely. Disdainful Stroke will take care of that. Mann will have to take 1 to cast it, so he's down to 19. But we're going to head back Alex Reed's way.
And if Alex draws a threat, it's probably really good for him because Steven has Banishing Lights and so forth to answer it, and that plays right into the Destructive Revelry. And if Alex draws lands, that's good too because he gets him to Stormbreath. So
Cure the draw. One of the poorer draws in the situation that you just lined out. Temple of Plenty going to come into play. A little scry action. Leave it on top. Will Mann. Pass the turn back. He's reactive. Savage Knuckleblade the draw. That gives him something to cast. That'll come in. Now we're going to have an interesting game too because Mann has lots of answers, but they're all enchantments. Mann will draw a card. Remember, he kept this card on top very quickly. There's Courser. Another target for Destructive Revelry. Mountain on top. Mountain going to come into play. Trigger the Courser up to 20.
yeah, these Revelries are going to be really sweet for Alex.
Mountain's the draw step for next turn. Looks like we're going to go Chaining to the Rocks, perhaps. We shall. So bye-bye Nux, at least for now. Reed will untap. It's time to draw. A copy of Kratos Clause. He'll cast Destructive Revelry. Take care of that. Bring this back.
So I was not a fan of that play because I think there's a good chance that if Alex just says go, that Steven's first order of business will be attacking with the Courser. And if you get it mid-combat, you might get quite a bit. Now, if he wants to give it haste and attack, I guess that's an okay line. I would have probably gone for maximum greed there and try to get the Courser mid-combat.
I think I would have too, and I was thinking the same thing, as I can get really greedy and try to get the Courser. I'm already behind as it is, and I don't think it's a damage racing game at this point.
The 4 damage definitely matters, but with Steven's life total pretty high and a Courser in play, it's not clear how much it really matters.
Yeah, I want the Courser out of the way. See Mann's top card's a copy of Pelucranos. That'll likely be the draw step next turn. There's Chain again. So see you later, Knuckleblade, at least for now. There's Wooded Foothills. Trigger the Courser up to 15. Courser. Red Zone. Put Reed down to 18. And we'll head back Reed's way. Reed will draw a card. It is still not land at number 4. It's a copy of Rattleclaw Mystic. And I think we're going to see the same thing we saw last turn, which is Destructive Revelry. Take care of that. Give this haste. Beat you down again.
And the problem with this line of play here on Alex's side is I think this kind of leads him down a dead end.
That's what I think too.
The rest of his resources are kind of, they're mana, they're expensive, they're reactive. It doesn't line up with trying to get in these little shots of damage.
Mann's down to 9. He's up to 10 now. Trigger the Courser. Wooded Foothills will come into play. Take a look at Mann's top card. That'll be a forest. I don't think he'll be drawing the next turn with 2 fetch lands. Mann does have some nice options in his hand. We know about the Pelucranos. Banishing Light over there as well. So he can get Knuckle Blade off the board if he wants to. I guess the question is, does he deem that necessary?
Well, also, what does he want to leave back, you know? He could just say, I'll play Pelucranos here. The Knuckle Blade probably doesn't do anything at this point, and leave the Banishing Light for something more threatening.
That's exactly what he will do. Mountain is the draw here for Reed. That's a 4th land. It is pretty late to the party. This will allow him to cast Kiora, I believe, and he will. So the Planeswalker will come in. That's going to shut down Pelucranos. At least for now.
And that's why I didn't like Alex trying to turn this into a damage race game. I would have rather him try to play some sort of card advantage game, and then Kiora gets online and maybe the board staple, and he can start getting back into it that way.
Yeah, I think that a damage race game is just not one that favors him, but if we're playing a longer game, he might actually be able to win a longer game if Kiora's off the table. And, you know, you have to, I mean, he probably has to get a little bit lucky, but, you know, hoping that Stephen floods out or just draws cards that don't matter is a way to win.
Well, Steven said go at one point.
Yep.
With no threats in place, so you can assume that his hand's it's either mana or it's reactive, which is the case. It was all removal spells at that point.
So the top card of Mann's deck was a copy of Blossoming Sand, so he's going to sacrifice his Foothills again. He wants to draw a real card right now, so you do see some of the power with Courser and Fetch Land. Yes, you're giving away a little bit of information, but you're also gaining information about what your draw step will be, and if you can control it, I think you'll take the opportunity to do that. And now, Chain of the Rocks will be the draw, so there it is.
Paid off.
Man, still giving a little bit of thought here.
He has the option here of just using the Lightning Strike right now to finish off the Kiora before he moves into his own turn.
Yep. Looks like he does have some interest in that as he's tapping mana. Could also just go upstairs, but I'll take Kiora off the table. Going upstairs would be a touch aggressive, so.
I think Steven wondering if the Kiora, the plussing on Kiora carries over if the Kiora is no longer in play.
Sure. Chain of the Rocks the draw. Top card now. Another copy of Pelucranos. There's a Mountain, trigger the Courser. He's up to 11.
I think he has enough mana to fight the Knuckle Blade.
Yes, but because of the Kiora trigger.
Right.
We'll wait a turn.
Yeah, just hold off for one turn.
Yeah.
And now Steven can say go. If Alex holds up all of his mana to protect the Knuckle Blade, that's fine by Steven. And if Alex commits anything to the table, then the Pelucranos can finish it off.
He could roast something. I think either way we're going to see a Monstrosity activation here on Reed's turn. That is probably too much to overcome. I think that's the big issue here. You see Andrew Tendrum walking through the background. I'm very curious about how Stephen Mann is doing, and Stephen Mann is the cutoff here for Season 4. There's a block. This is a pump, but I don't think this is going to work the way that he wants it to. You see Mann kind of shrug his shoulders, say, well, I'm going to activate Monstrosity. I'm going to kill your creature.
Yeah, the worst case scenario is Alex has some sort of trick, and then this is just a trade.
Yeah.
And the best case scenario is Alex has nothing to follow up with here, and Steven gets to untap and attack for lethal, which I believe is what's going to end up happening.
So, bye-bye Knuckleblade. Not a great turn there from Reed. Blue card is now sitting at a 9-9. Courser is 10, 11 points of damage. And if he has a way to deal 5 more, get the job done. You see his hand, though, reactive with Banishing Light and Chain of the Rocks, excuse me. So we'll play a couple more turns this game, but I think in just a moment we'll be announcing Stephen Mann as the winner of this match. Two decks I did not expect to see to start the day. We saw Logan Mice with greener monsters. Now we've got Mann with Naya midrange. So these players opting for these large green strategies.
Naya midrange is closer to green-red monsters than any other conventional deck in the format, too.
Yep. It is a little telling, you know, given what we saw last week with the 4-color midrange deck that Brad Nelson played, Esper in the finals. We saw the Jeskai token kind of combo deck win the tournament from Harlan Fear. Diversity is the name of the game in this format, and you see the players from Florida opting for Pelucranos and friends. It's be fair, it is a pretty stable base with Pelucranos, Sylvan Caryatid, and Courser of Krufix.
A bunch of good cards, good synergies with the fetch lands.
Nothing we haven't seen before. Reed's hand, not great, especially in the face of this Pelucranos, and there's another one in Stephen Mann's hand, and he will extend it. Stephen Mann going to win this match here over Alex Reed, 2-0. And for number 12 on our Season 4 leaderboard, another win, getting closer to more Open Series points and solidifying his position and his invite to Roanoke.
Pretty straightforward set of wins